Murmurations.
Love.
Aren't they fantastic? So, it's that, particularly for starlings, the way they move through the sky, and they move as if they're controlled by one entity.
Yeah.
Fascinating, magical patterns.
Giant flock of birds. What are we talking? How many? A million?
Thousands upon thousands.
And they move like an organism.
Oh, it's mesmerising. And so they're kind of like a drone show these days, but with no controlling, obvious ultra entity.
And made by evolution.
Made by evolution. As Darwin put it, evolution makes things.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what he said.
Should put a sticker on everything. Made by evolution.
Made by evolution. But is it only starlings or birds that do it?
Yeah.
Fish seem to move, schools or shoals, however you want to pronounce
Definitely. Particularly little tiny fish.
Yep.
And you see a predator fish move through and
But even without, they kind of do these little columns and swirls. It's fucking fascinating. But what about less famously elegant and maybe more solidly terrestrial creatures?
Elephants. A murmuration of elephants. Is this what we're doing?
Or sheep?
Welcome to The Wholesome Show, podcast that's almost supernaturally synchronised with the whole of science.
Yes, we are.
I'm Will Grant.
I'm Rod Lambert. So Oxfordshire, England, November 3rd, 1888.
Ooh.
On or very close to 8 p.m. I know you're curious.
8
p.m. Tens of thousands of sheep went batshit crazy, scattered to the four winds.
But what is batshit crazy? They just moved.
Smashed through fences like fucking crazy. And they did this, it would appear to be simultaneously.
Right.
Over an area of about 200 square miles.
Oh, okay. So not one paddock or something like this. This is
200 square miles.
I don't know how many sheep fit in a paddock. I kind of think a trillion sheep per paddock.
It is a trillion. It is a trillion.
The normal number.
And this is more than one paddock.
We're Australians though, so we're big paddocks.
So yeah, about 200 square miles, which is, I did some research
That's
for
all.
once.
Oh, did you?
128,000 acres.
That
or
doesn't help.
51,800 hectares.
Again.
40 million bushels. 520 square kilometres. This is clearly not one flock. This was
it's a lot of
this is many sheep.
Yeah.
And they could not all see or hear each other. Like they weren't within earshot. They weren't within eyeshot.
No comms.
No radios. None of your, what do you call it?
Them sheeps.
The walkie-talkies.
So
ovine style.
Okay. Something happened that made the sheep go mad. I don't know if this is a murmuration of sheep yet.
So from Hardwicke's Science Gossip, an illustrated medium of interchange and gossip for students and lovers of nature.
Is this from the 1880s?
This is a real publication.
An illustrated medium for students, like
Hardwicke's Science Gossip, and it was popular.
Yeah, I have to say, if we were to reinvent ourselves as Hardwicke's Science Gossip,
I don't see why we shouldn't. Announcing today,
strong feeling I need to have a T-shirt that has Hardwicke's Science Gossip.
So the article, "The Sheep Panic Near Reading."
Mm-hmm.
So there's a bunch of quotes here. I'm sorry, old school, but it's worth it. At a time as near 8 o'clock as possible, what's possible?
Overwritten sentences.
I know.
Yeah, I get it.
Imagine that, 1800s.
Yeah.
The tens of thousands of sheep folded, and folded is a term for when they put them into smaller enclosures at night. So the panic, as near as possible to 8 o'clock, tens of thousands of sheep folded in a large sheep breeding districts north, east and west of Reading. They were taken with a sudden fright. They jumped their hurdles, they escaped from the fields, and they ran hither and thither.
Oh, no, but you had to.
Chaos.
You had to hither and thither.
In the 1800s, if something was hither and thither.
Once you've typed hither.
Meltdown. And as they go on, in fact, there must have been for some time a perfect stampede. Sheep were bursting through their pens, barreling through fences, as if they were made of paper, the fences, jumping over stone walls and tearing up property as they ran. So they went mental. They went fully mental. And early on Sunday morning, the next day, the shepherds found the animals under hedges, in the roads, panting as if they were terror-stricken.
Oh.
They freaked the fuck out and bolted. Somewhere miles away from their usual field, like miles, not down the road, like they fucked off and disappeared.
And we can tell these are the same sheep that like...
Yeah, from the smell. The shepherds of the time knew their flock
all had barcodes
by
or
smell.
whatever? Or
yeah, they did have barcodes.
But QR code or
1800s barcodes.
They Bitcoined them and they're all...
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
So what happened? So authors of the Hardwicke's Science Gossip article, they were not convinced by any of the rationales opined by local sheep people.
Why did the sheep go mad? So what were the explanations people gave?
Here's one. The night was intensely dark
Oh, it was too dark.
Intensely dark.
It was a very dark one.
With occasional flashes of lightning.
First time that ever been a really dark night.
What the fuck? Where's the sun gone?
You know,
Lucifer has come to Earth.
no moon, no clouds. That's it.
Armageddon. Or as the sheep said, I'm getting out of here.
Hey.
Be here all week.
So, okay, one explanation, too dark.
So they said, bollocks, that seems unlikely, especially for the widespread effect. They went on to say, we would suggest, one of the explanations, we would suggest the probability of a slight earthquake. An earthquakelet.
Any other animals or any other people?
No.
Ah.
Just the jeeps.
Again, mystery.
I know. But then they go on to call on the readers in the article from Hardwicke's Science Gossip. They call on their readers to offer a more satisfactory explanation. So things were discussed, like, even though the weather wasn't especially bad, meteorological events were still on the table. So maybe it was weatherish.
Okay. I know that this is worthy of comment, so it must have been an event that unusual.
It was a thing, yeah.
But had something like this happened before?
In this area, maybe, but hard to tell.
Okay. It's just if it's just some dark night or some weather, we've had those before.
We have, and we'll probably have them again. So that, they postulated seismological events, maybe even astronomical, like meteorites.
Okay.
But none of these were deemed convincing enough for the authors in, Hardwicke's Science Gossip. So even though a number of contemporary natural scientists, they were quick to point out that historically a lot of weird stuff seemed to drop from the sky onto Oxfordshire, particularly in November.
November's the weird time.
For sky stuff.
Yeah, sure.
The other months, it could come from the land, the sea, underground, whatever.
The sky stuff happens.
But
in
November, look up. Always look up.
In fairness, there might be that moment when we're around the sun that we're hitting shit.
What are you with your science?
It could actually be a thing.
It could be. So there are examples of this, like a meteor at Tage, I don't know how to pronounce that. April 9th, 1628. So obviously, contemporary.
That was a little bit before.
Couple of years. Another was a, quote, undermentioned, I assume, meteorite, November 3rd, 1868, so getting a lot closer. And yet another on November 20th, 1887, year before.
Oh, yeah.
And then they added to this list.
I'm not saying, as in like that was it.
Obviously, you're saying that must be it, yeah. And then there was the sheep panic that we just talked about. So it really seems
Maybe
as
they
if…
take a year or so to panic.
Well, they're slow. Delicious, but slow.
Fuck, there was a meteorite a year ago over the sky.
I thought about it. I'm going to run. So it really seems, they say, as if residents in that district in November have exceptional opportunities for meteorological research, according to the Great Britain Meteorological Office in their magazine in 1888. So there's shitloads of weather around there. How good is that? And it's not clear to me when they say meteor. Some of the sources, it sounds like maybe meteor referred to meteorology and some referred to rocks.
Of the sky.
And I could be wrong.
It all just means of the sky.
Yeah, so it was a bit ambiguous. So just for a moment, let's talk about sheep. So look, they're prey animals. We know that. They are.
Yeah, they're victims.
They're used to being
They're the victim. They're nature's victims, but they got a tough jumper around. It's hard. They do.
It's
hard for a wolf to get through that jumper.
But they'll give it a good crack.
Yeah, they will.
So they're pretty much pre-wired, or at least evolutionary created to
panic,
gather in flocks.
Oh yeah,
to cluster.
Yeah, okay.
Makes sense. You just don't be on the edge. So this is why, as they go on to say, a single person who look after a large flock of sheep, because you just got to get a couple of them to go and the rest of them do it too.
Yeah, okay.
So one shepherd, many sheps.
Yeah. Also,
they will quite clearly and regularly follow each other, one for whatever reason.
Okay.
Murmuration-like, if you will.
Yes.
Janelle, the lead sheep.
Gary and Janelle have said there's some danger over there. So
holy shit, turn left. They all turn left.
Everyone else is turning. We're not that far away from that.
We're not. Hence, people.
Social media.
Not sheeple. Oh, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
I meant social media.
Yeah.
And there's a great example put in one of the sources from 2006 in Turkey to talk about how they'll all follow each other. The quote is, around 400 sheep fell to their deaths after following one sheep that tried to cross a deep ravine. So there you go, science. There's a definite example.
You idiot sheep.
Yeah, like, I'm going to cross a ravine. We are too.
I would have thought once the deaths were piling up.
No, it was too quick. So with that in mind, let's think about this. An explanation reported in the Livestock Journal of 1888. And I love about this, the way it's written down is livestock, not livestock. So from that journal, sheep panic. The case reported from Reading, as to the whole of the flocks within one district being disturbed and escaping from their folds on one night at 1 hour, has been paralleled by a similar outbreak in Norfolk.
Oh, same time? Different time.
Different time.
Different time.
But it has happened elsewhere is what they say. Yeah.
Okay.
As we believe they go on, the panic is spread by, quote, hearing.
Yeah, hearing what?
Apparently sheep can hear. I didn't know that.
Yeah, but hearing what?
So here's the explanation. This is good. This is really good psychom. Science communication.
This is from what year is this explanation?
1888, the live stock journal.
I'll take that with the grain of salt.
Grain of delicious artisanal Himalayan salt. So here's how they say. Flock M or N is frightened on a very dark night. Of course you'd go with M or N first, not A or B.
They've gone with
M or N. At once, L and O are disturbed because, again, why would you go with C and D?
Couldn't we have just started with...
Why would you go C and D?
Well, couldn't we have just gone flock A and then flock B?
I agree.
Like we're talking about...
M or N, and at once L and O are disturbed, and the sound of their excitement attracts the attention of K and P.
Yeah, okay.
I think you're getting the gist, right?
So one sheep goes wild and
their flock goes off.
Flock goes off and the next flock goes off and obviously every sheep in the world shits the bed.
So yeah, we get to K and P, who are simultaneously panic-driven, the distress expanding from one centre as the rings upon the surface of a pond expand from where the stone strikes.
To everywhere. Where does it stop? Like this theory is not a good theory because it says, the instant some sheep is panicked, then all sheep in the world are panicked.
The sheepiverse is fucked.
As far as sheep can hear.
Exactly. But the thing with this is it seems to have happened all at once. It wasn't a Mexican wave. It wasn't like a rolling.
Yeah.
This seemed to be simultaneous.
Yeah, not a network effect. It's one intervention that has...
As close as is possible to 8 o'clock, whatever time that could be.
The sheep they're fans of 8 o'clock. That is an hour that they respect.
Also, obviously, it happened over a large area. So another theory was proposed but quickly dismissed, and it was this. It was agreed that there was no possible way that troublesome children, normally the guilty party when sheep have been scared.
I like that.
We know how it is.
I like that.
Your kids are always out fucking with sheep, right? Scaring sheep is what I meant to say.
Yeah, well...
This theory that it was children, so they go on to say, how could children across several villages all rile the sheep up so much?
Social media.
Yep, 1800s.
The kids were all on
the clackophone.
They said, get out there and tip over some sheep.
Fucking scare the shit out of these people.
You fuck them up. Fuck them up. That's what they said.
And they also go on to say malicious mischief was out of the question because 1,000 men could not have frightened and released all these sheep.
No, but men ain't so good at frightening sheep as kids.
No, yeah, kids are better. So regardless of why it happened again. 1889.
Well, a year is it
the
later? Same date?
No.
Oh. That would have been cool.
Wouldn't it?
That would have been cool.
Yeah,
I know what you did last summer. I'll fuck you up next summer. Let's freak humans out
again. Let's fuck them up.
Even though it's November, I'll come back.
I know. And happened again in 1893.
Again, not a year later?
No, this is 4 years later.
So we got 1888, 1889, 1993.
1893. So what the fuck happened? The best bet, quoting again, various causes for these panics have been suggested, but only one reasonable explanation has been satisfactorily adduced.
Uh-huh.
They conclude the 1893 panic was at the time fully investigated by Mr. O.V. Aplin, who was published in the Journal of the Royal Agricultural Society, and the conclusions he drew from the existent evidence were collected. The conclusion he arrived at was that the cause of the panic was simply thick darkness.
Thanks, fucker. Thick darkness.
I know, and I read that and went, what's that?
It's not South Country, but
there's black.
Right, there's
blacker.
There's some thick darkness there.
And the sheeps be very frightened if you make the dark darker, the black blacker. So if you think about it, probably thick darkness. I know.
That's fucking great. I love that there's a publication where the conclusion is some thick darkness.
More than one.
More than one. I would like to end all my papers with, in conclusion,
thick darkness.
Thick darkness.
And you need something with a font that has that rise at the end.
You do.
Thick darkness. So I thought, thick darkness. What are you talking about? So I sussed it out.
You Googled thick darkness?
I did. With safe search off, not images. I didn't go images. I should have. So the first 800-ish bajillion hits, all biblical.
What?
All biblical. I got very excited because I'm thinking, supernatural event. This is fucking fabulous.
Yep.
So I'm summarizing the 8 bajillion hits. So 1 Kings 8:12 and 1 Chronicles 6:1. You know the ones. The Lord said that he would dwell in thick darkness.
I would dwell in thick darkness.
He had reasons for this.
Well, there's a time and a place. Like when you want a real afternoon nap, I will go for some thick darkness.
I'm not against it.
Imagine how deep you sleep when you're dwelling in your thick darkness. Wife, I'm off to the thick darkness.
So anyway, the Lord said he would dwell in thick darkness. This thick darkness, it refers to the darkness that envelops God's appearance. There's reasons for this. The darkness mentioned in verse 21 blocks God's glorious appearance from Moses.
In fairness, like it's basically God's clothes, but God can't be wearing clothes.
Beyond clothes. So God turns up to talk to Moses, but in thick darkness.
Yeah, no. In fairness, God is not branded. Like God can't be wearing, he can't be selecting particular
Gucci,
clothes.
Versace,
No,
Uniqlo.
God can't choose.
No.
God's got to go like, I got to go with thick darkness around.
Because otherwise it'd be racist.
No, I don't think that.
Clothist.
But yes, it would be clothist.
We can't be
like,
clothist.
I can't be Gucci. I can't be your
Versace.
Levi's, your Versace, any of those.
You're threadless.
Nikkei. And none of those.
So he goes on, he's cloaked for Moses. God is surrounded by the darkness, not because he, capital, is not glorious, but his.
Yeah, too glorious.
He's active.
I'm wearing clothes because I'm too glorious.
It's true. So he's covered himself in thick darkness because it reveals his caring towards Moses. In fact, no one would have lived if God utterly disclosed himself. So if God just went, here I am.
Yeah, if he nuded up, everyone dies.
Or appeared at all in full glory, at all. Even in a three-piece suit or a tuxedo.
No, I get it.
Pair of thongs, shorts, and a tank top, boom.
Turns up the beach, everyone's dead. Everyone's dead.
All dead.
He's
dead.
too hot.
So Exodus 33:20, and I know you were going to bring that up, but I'm going to just, for people listening, states that no sinful man living on earth can see God's face and live.
Oh, even his face now?
Not even the face. So imagine the whole body. So when he turns up to Moses.
Do they have evidence for this?
Yes, Moses.
So,
but you know the Encyclopedia Britannica.
Yeah,
it's the same as the Bible. It's full of facts, well researched. The majestic God uses the veil of darkness so he could communicate with Moses. So thick darkness.
I'm calming things down.
Protects everyone.
I'm putting myself on mute.
So God did it.
Thanks, God. Cool.
God
How does this get back to the sheep?
Well, so I did that. I read that article. It said thick darkness, and I went off and looked at thick darkness, and then I thought, hang on, what if I read the rest of the article?
Yeah.
Beyond thick darkness. I was feeling feisty. I thought, let's be a proper researcher and read the whole piece. So it goes on. Very few people probably have ever been out in a really dark night.
Well,
apparently. And it is impossible for anyone who has not experienced this to imagine what it is like and the sense of helplessness it causes.
Okay.
The thick darkness, not Jesus darkness.
No, like a true
just
thick
really
darkness.
dark.
Yeah, you haven't been in that.
No, you haven't. No one knows. No one
Look,
knows.
these are people as well. They're from pre-LEDs.
Just.
But they
1888, that's pretty much what,
they got a
2
lantern
years.
that lights up like 10 centimeters around the lamp.
Yeah, beyond their toes.
You can see
I can see
the
my
lantern,
shoes and the thing I can
understand some thick darkness sucks the light out of the lantern.
This is what they're saying. And so he goes on to say that a thick darkness of this kind was experienced in the early part of the night of the recent panic. This is proved by abundant evidence, according to this author.
Okay.
So here's a couple of reports anyway, just brief ones. One witness said between 8 and 9 p.m., such a thick and heavy darkness came on that a man could not see his own hand. Another witness. A little before 8 o'clock, there was an extraordinary black cloud travelling from northwest to southeast, which appeared to be rolling along the ground.
Okay.
The darkness lasted for 30 or 40 minutes, and during that time, it was like being shut up in a dark room. Later in the night, after the panics, there were several flashes of lightning as well. So Alplin, the guy who was writing this stuff, says, look, animals probably see perfectly well on ordinary dark nights. We can imagine a bewilderment coming over them when they find themselves overtaken by thick darkness in which they can see nothing.
Okay.
That's his speculation. Sorry, assertion. Assertion's a better word. Most of the panic sheep were in these folds that I talked about. So these are apparently very snug. These pens, they're really squashed in. They have feeding and watering troughs in there as well. So they're squished in and they have objects. So if one of the sheep went, they would bang into a trough or another sheep.
Okay.
Or a fence.
And then we get a panicked
another sheep would go, oh my God.
Yeah, murmuration,
they'd freak out.
panic. So the thick darkness, all right. Okay.
Possibly. If one sheep spooked, they'd all carry on. The quote goes on, then they would all make a rush and their terror and the momentarily recurring incentives to and aggravations of, in the shape of collisions, would only subside when the sheep had broken out of their
Why then suddenly is this happening? Okay, I get there's been cloudless nights.
I agree with you.
Sorry, starless nights, cloudy.
I agree. It's a good
cloudy,
question.
no moon, no stars.
Very good question.
The sheep are sitting in there in the dark. I get it. And there's thicker versions.
And they've done it before.
Super cloudy. And you go, I don't know what's different here.
They've done it before. I agree. So if this is the explanation of the panic, they say, then it's easy to understand why folded sheep in these little pens are much more likely to suffer than those in open fields. So the heavy, oppressive atmosphere accompanying the thick darkness, the dispositions of sheep to atmospheric disturbance, and their nervous and timid natures would all tend to increase the fright the sheep experienced. The cause of the panic, therefore, a rolling cloud that rolled so low to apparently touch the ground.
It was a big cloud.
Freaked him out. And this guy's work was quoted even in a commentary in Nature magazine in 1921, so decades later.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, you're like me. I'm skeptical. I'm still like, yeah, bullshit, because a bunch of sources don't mention cloud at all or thick darkness. And finally, if the stampedes happened simultaneously, then this rolling cloud, doesn't make sense to me.
Cloud had to pop into existence.
I agree. So I'm back to murmuration. I reckon sheep are like starlings without wool and wings.
I think
it was a murmuration.
I think it's aliens.
So yes, the explanation is.
What? Are you setting this up? You're not giving me an answer?
That's all I have because there was nothing else to be discovered.
Oh my God. Solve the mystery for me.
Do you know what it was?
What?
Something.
Stop it. You're freaking terrible.
The Bible.